In this video, I'm going to talk about some introduction to genetics, terminology, and a little bit about Gregor Mendel. So some words here. Heredity is going to be basically the passing of traits from parents to offspring. You use that sort of word, and when you say like you inherit something, both obviously a physical item as well as traits that you inherit from your parents. And then genetics is going to be the study of heredity, the study of how we get traits from our parents or how we give traits to our offspring. And the father of genetics is considered to be this man named Gregor Mendel. He was a monk and he studied pea plants, and he grew hundreds of pea plants over the course of his study of genetics. And he is really well known for coming up with sort of 3 laws of genetics, one of which I'll talk about in this video. But even before he knew about DNA, even before he knew about like genes in the way that we've been discussing them, he determined that every person or every individual, of course he was working with pea plants, so they're not people, but every individual organism has 2 copies of each trait. One that comes from mom and one that comes from dad. And we now know that this exists because of homologous pairs. Right? You have a pair of chromosomes that have basically the same genes on them. Well, the reason you have 2 copies is because you have a pair of chromosomes. One copy comes from mom, one copy comes from dad, and they occur on homologous chromosomes. But he knew about this before we knew about chromosomes and we knew about DNA, and he came up with all these laws before that, which really blows my mind. His first law is that we're going to talk about specifically is the law of dominance, where 2 different alleles, so we call those versions of traits alleles. So for example, I can have a certain gene for eye color, and the different versions of that eye color gene could be blue or brown or something like that. So the law of dominance says when 2 different alleles occur together, one will be completely expressed, and that one's going to be considered the dominant trait, and the other one might have no observable effect, and that will be the recessive trait. And you will only see the recessive trait when you only have recessive genes. And so that was going to be one of Mendel's first laws that we're going to discuss.